These are Accuray disclaimers and disclosures. I'm very grateful to be here today in the ESTRO meeting in Madrid. I thank the Accuray team for inviting me to share our experience with Bolo with CyberKnife. My name is Andrea Bobo and I am a radiation oncologist in Hospital Ruber Internacional in Madrid. As you all know, CyberKnife is a robotic system designed to treat tumors anywhere in the body, and it is able to deliver high radiation doses with a sub-millimeter accuracy without the need of any invasive immobilization device. Its system can continuously track the patient's and the tumor's movement throughout the treatment, and all these features are optimal for making safe and precise stereotactic body radiosurgery and stereotactic body radiotherapy treatments. In our center, we have a long experience with CyberKnife. Our previous version was CyberKnife G4, and in 2019, we received the CyberKnife M6 with some added new features that have made our work, that have improved our work. All this technological evolution has several upgrades. For instance, we have more entry beams, and it can give more symmetric distribution comparing with the older version. Another advantage is the improved administration rates, which brings shorter delivery times. We pass from 600 monitor units per minute to 1,000. There are 3 types of collimators available in our latest version. We upgraded to also having the in-size MLC that gives us a reduction in the number of monitor units and less integral dose, so we can choose for what best suits for every target we have. As we have said earlier, there are various intrafractional motion tracking systems, and in our latest version, we acquired also the Synchrony lung tracking respiratory modeling, which permits lung tracking without the need of fiducial placement. Also, there has been upgrades in the planning programs and planning system optimizers, which make for a faster and more efficient planning and optimization, as we will speak later. We added in our latest version the Volo optimizer, and also some contouring tools that help the contouring process. So, as a radiation oncologist, at first I was not familiarized with the optimization programs. After some years of using CyberKnife, I have become more acquainted with them, with much help of the radiophysicist team, of course. So what are the advantages of the Volo optimization compared with the sequential optimizer? So in the sequential optimizer, clinical objectives are optimized in sequential steps with user-defined priorities, and each priority is individually optimized without violating any of the imposed constraints. After an initial optimization, procedure has to be done to reduce beam nodes and segments, and also they can there's an re-optimization procedure that can be applied to limit the treatment time, and this could create that the plan quality is deteriorated. So not always a deliverable plan is produced. Also for MLC plan, they use pre-created shapes that can add difficulty and time for the planning. In the Volo optimization, the optimization combines weight DVH goals into single cost function that includes targets and organs at risks. And the inside MLC display is more interactive, allowing parameter adjustments during the process. And it always gives a deliverable plan because the delivery efficiency is included as part of the optimization. In general terms, we can say that the sequential optimization is efficient for simple plans, single or small volumes, but has difficulties in dose escalation plans on when there are multiple targets with different dose prescriptions. While the bolo optimization has the advantage of the ease of use, because the optimization approach is similar to other planning systems. It also has faster optimization. The final solution is minimally different from the optimized solution, as we explained before, and it's efficient, more efficient for complicated plans. So there are several studies that have analyzed the advantages of a Volo optimizer. Here I bring the results of the study of Schuler and his collaborators in 2020, which analyzed the clinical impact and treatment quality of the Volo optimization. One of the main conclusions after comparing pre-existing sequential optimization plan with re-optimized plans using Volo optimizer in several different lesions, maintaining the same criteria and goals, is a significant reduction of treatment time, a number of monitor units, and this was especially significant in complicated targets such as complex brain lesions or prostate cancers. This advantage is not seen in simple brain lesions with fixed collimators. This study, published in 2021 by Zetzinska, what they did is to elaborate a comparison between sequential optimizer and Volo optimizer plans, both with MLC, in 25 randomly selected patients of prostate cancer and of central lung tumors. They were replanned with the same parameters, and what they found out was that most of the organs at risk were improved with Volo optimizer. For prostate cancers, for instance, the dose was heterogeneous because they wanted to do a dose escalation, and in the way to save the urethra was making an intentionally heterogeneous plan. And what they found out is that the rectum and bladder maximum dose, the rectum and bladder mean dose, also they were reduced significantly. Also, there was a reduction in the high urethra dose, and the patient volume of the patient receiving 5 grays or more, with a delivery time reduction. In the central lung plans, what they found out, it was a general reduction of max doses from the main organs at risk, esophagus, main bronchus, spinal cord, and trachea. The lung dose was comparable, and also the thoracic wall, the 30 cc was reduced. So in general, we can say after several studies that planning efficiency is not compromised. It does not compromise plan quality with Volo. There are major improvements in conformality in complex cases, as we spoke before, in prostate, spine, and lung central cancers. And there are large improvements in organs at risk in one of these studies, max doses in the proximity of close organs that you see here, and reduction in the patient volume receiving 5 grays or more. There's a clinically significant delivery time reduction, so important for the patients. And there's a reduction of number of monitor units, beams, and nodes with the same complexity of plans. And of course, also important from a logistic point of view, the reduced planning times. Why is the Volo planning optimization more efficient? Well, there are several reasons that report the users. One of them is the more intuitive interface that is similar to other treatment planning systems they may be used to. Due to the enhanced calculation speed, more iterations can be made for finding the appropriate cost function, and that means reducing the total planning time. There are also smaller differences between the optimization result and the final dose calculation, avoiding re-optimizations and saving, again, more time. And there's a possibility of a dynamic interaction during the planning optimization. And so when the user finds that the plan is already optimal, they can stop the optimization. Since August 2019, we started using the CyberKnife M6 plus Volo optimizer in our center, Hospital Ruber Internacional in Madrid. We are a private healthcare center. And since the installation, we have treated around 200 cases in more or less 150 patients. The most common indications in our center are mainly spinal metastasis and brain metastasis, followed by lung tumor, which is in these numbers included the primary and the metastatic sites. Also, the next group, the prostate cancer, has been increased in the latest years after some studies have been published, and we receive patients choosing SBRT for the prostate instead of surgery or external beam radiotherapy. We also treat benign conditions such as acoustic neurinomas or trigeminal neuralgias. We have fewer abdominal malignancies in comparison, liver metastasis, adrenal, etc., due to a more aggressive approach from our surgical team, and non-spinal metastases due to the localization. Sometimes they are native fiducials and the patient is not up to it, so we treat them mostly with our LINAC. The trigeminal neuralgia is the only treatment that is still planned with isocentric coplanar and sequential optimization in our center. We can have circular collimators or incised multi-leaf collimators. Both circular collimators, the fixed or the iris collimators, are better for smaller targets and rounded shapes. The difference between them is that they have to be, the fixed collimators have to be manually changed during the treatment, so someone has to enter the room to do that, and the iris variable aperture collimator automatically changes the size, reducing treatment time and being a little bit more efficient. And the inside MLC is better for larger and complex target shapes with organs at risk in close proximity. It produces faster treatment time, and since the installation of MLC in our center, MLC plans with the Bobo upgrade have been the majority of the plans, and it's also similar to other centers in published articles. So these are images from our centers, fixed and MLC collimators with their collimators themselves. With our CyberKnife M6, we, as I told you before, incorporated also the incised MLC and Bobo. 1.5 years later, the use of MLC reaches in our center 65% of the treatment compared to fixed cones. That is the only collimator we used to have before. The most used tracking system are Excite spine by synchrony, spine tracking, followed by 60 skull synchrony skull tracking. The novelty in our center was also the Excite lung by synchrony that has been used in 15 patients with lung tumors, avoiding fiducial markers placement with all the inconvenience that they may have. Not all patients and tumors are suitable for Excite lung tracking system due to the position of the tumor or maybe the density of the tumor, which makes it not possible for the tracking system to follow. And how is our experience in our center with the CyberKnife M6 and the Bobo optimizer? Well, we have noticed an important improvement in the number of patients treated every day due to the shorter delivery time. This is also thanks to the MLC collimator. We used to have, we only have one shift in the morning for treating the patients. And we used to have 1 or 2 patients, maybe 3, when they were not complicated, or even maybe 1 when the patient was, the plan was complicated. But now we are very eager to add more patients per day because we see that the plans are shorter and less complicated. There's a planning reduction time for the radiophysicists and dosimetrists, especially for complicated plans due to the faster and more versatile system. This planning the reduction time is significant. They used to need several working days to achieve the perfect plan with the previous version, and now they can do a couple of repetitions even in the same day. So, for example, in our center that we receive patients that do not live in Madrid and maybe come here exclusively for the treatment, we can come, we can make better logistics for them. Also, we can try different plans with different collimators and compare these plans to see which one suits better for the target and for the patient, some things that were not possible before. And so with the better conformality and decreased doses of organs at risk, we are enabling in some cases to add a little bit more dose and perhaps start thinking about dose escalation in some patients. I'm going to share with you some cases from our center. This is, for example, a patient with breast cancer who was admitted to our center due to the finding of two brain metastases. These metastases were cortical and not close to any organs at risk. So we prescribe stereotactic radiosurgery, 20 grays in one fraction, and our main concern was the healthy brain. The treatment delivery time was 37 minutes with the synchrony 60 skull. This is another different case of a lung tumor with a vertebral dorsal metastasis in the body of the vertebra. He was prescribed 27 grays in 3 fractions. We achieved a GTV coverage of 100% and a PTV coverage of 95% with MLC. Our main concerns and planning considerations were the spinal cord and the esophagus that was close to the vertebra. And he was treated in 26 minutes with the tracking spine system. Another case that would be a primary lung tumor. This case was an ex-smoker with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. As you know, sometimes they have emphysema and they have high risk of pneumothorax with the fiducial placement. So these type of patients have seen a major improvement with the incorporation of the synchrony lung tracking with respiratory modeling. He had a 12 millimeter node in the right inferior lobe and was prescribed 57 grays in 3 fractions with a coverage of 95.95% of the PTV and 100% of the GTV. Our main organ at risk, being a patient with prior lung morbidities, was the lung to reduce the risk of pneumonitis, and other were the spine and chest wall that achieved the estimated constraints. And he was treated in 30 minutes with synchrony lung tracking with respiratory modeling. These are the images that we see in the machine. This is a prostate cancer case. This is a patient with a low-risk localized prostate cancer. As I spoke about before, in the latest years, we are receiving more patients that find more convenient to be treated with low risk of side effects, with 5 fractions of SBRT, and we do it in our center, of course, with a prior placement of fiducial markers. In some cases, we also put some hydrogel to increase the distance between the rectum and the prostate. The dose prescription we use is 36.25% in 5 fractions. And the GTV coverage is 100% in this case. The simulation, we always do it in the same day a CT scan and a simultaneous pelvic MRI, because it is really important in these cases to correctly contour the urethra. And as you can see, this patient had previously placed his fiducial markers and displayed hydrogel. In this is the last case I'm presenting. She was a patient with a pancreatic cancer that had controlled disease, but after 1 year, she was diagnosed with one single liver metastasis. She was simulated with MRI and the CT scan, and prescribed 60 grays in 3 fractions prior placement of fiducial markers. In our center, we calculate our, thanks to our developed program and algorithm, the margins from the GTV to the PDV. She was treated with MLC and synchrony fiducial truncating with respiratory modeling. Our main organ at risk was the healthy liver. That was achieved without a problem, and she was treated in 28 minutes. This is how the fiducial markers are seen in the DRRs, and this is a margin calculation in our center. So in conclusion, CyberKnife M6 is a specifically designed system for stereotactic body radiosurgery and stereotactic body radiotherapy, which uses non-isocentric and non-coplanar beams and has intrafractional motion tracking system. With ball optimization algorithm, radiophysicists can achieve efficient and high-quality dosimetry in shorter times. Monitor units per plan are lower than those with the sequential optimization, and that reduces peripheral dose to the patients. There's also a significant reduction in the treatment delivery time, which is a major advantage for our patients and the throughput of our center. Since the launch of CyberKnife M6 plus ball optimizer in our center, most of the treatment are planned using Follow, with the exception of the trigeminal neuralgia. I can't finish without thanking to all my team, radiation oncologist, Dr. Garcia, Dr. Sotoka, who have taught me everything I know from SBRT and radio surgery, Dr. Rodriguez for including me in her project of CyberKnife, and of course our radiophysicist department, the head Francisco Fallos, and especially thanks to Isabel Palazon, that not only for her patients, but also for her help for this presentation. Thank you very much.